The careers that I've had has been as an animal activist, fighting on behalf of animals I consider sentient souls. And if you've had a dog, a cat, a bird, even a koi fish, you understand you can communicate with them. Well, I've taken that to my own level, where beginning in 1971 at the Fertler Farm, upstate New York, I did several things simultaneously. One was an organic teaching farm, the first organic teaching farm in New York. I wanted people from the city to learn how they could move back to the land, back to farms and homestead. Mind you, this is 1971, and a lot of people were thinking, leave the city, leave the suburb. They wanted something with cleaner air, more open space, and how to become homesteaders, how to get off the grid. So I was teaching organic farming on the weekends. I was teaching animal care from a vegan perspective, how to respect animals. And I would show them how all the animals that they would eat, what they were like when they were not in captivity. Since 1971, I've been working with an animal sanctuary, meaning that I would rescue animals or animals would just be dropped off, sometimes with a note, sometimes with a little food, more often than not, nothing. And I'm talking about fennec foxes, I'm talking about regular foxes, porcupines, and skunks, pets that people had, and then something went wrong and they wanted to get rid of them. And so I'd get a call. Can you come and pick up the animals? And I would go and pick up animals. And in one case, one animal, there was just a note on the animal saying a horse, an older horse, it was 23 years old, which is not actually old. And it said, I have a choice. Hopefully you'll take the animal or I'll just have it slaughtered for its meat. And wow, I don't allow that. So I took the animal in, and my brother and I are with this animal. And about 10 years later, in fact, when I found it a home 14 years later, mind you now it's mid-30s, I understood that animal went on to live into its 40s. It's all in how they're treated, the love you share, the quality of the food that you give them. And nutrition's a big part of it. In fact, at the Fertler Farm upstate, you would have all these wonderful gardens growing all types of food. Then a guy went broke, he had a goat dairy. Next thing you know, he's showing up with trailers with 40 Nubian and Alpine goats. So now I had all these goats to take care of. Between the vet bills and the food, especially the quality food I feed an animal, including doing things like getting the highest quality Bermuda, coastal, alfalfa, and dry grass, mix them all together, and then fertilizing the soil, there's a lot of rich chlorophyll there. I would even plant wheatgrass, which back in the 1930s in Kansas, a farmer found that in the spring, when the horses and cows would go out and eat the fresh, small wheatgrass coming up out of the ground, they were healthier, they're more fertile. Finally left there, and I bought the Healing Springs Ranch in Texas. It was the birthplace of Gene Autry, the singing cowboy. Very popular cowboy along with Roy Rogers in the 1930s and 40s and 50s. In any case, it was an old rundown ranch. I mean, it was really rundown. But it was big, 200 acres. The one upstate was 50 acres. And this one had a beautiful lake on it, but there's an old house. Had I known, I wouldn't have torn that old ratty house down. I would have rehabilitated it, but I built a beautiful, like 20,000 square foot hacienda. But most importantly, people started showing up with animals. And places were going bankrupt all over Texas. in the 1970s, a lot of these animal farms where people would go to shoot an animal in a truck, which, needless to say, I think is a cowardly thing to do. The animal is just out there grazing. We're talking about giraffe and wildebeest and zebras and elk and nilgai and adix and oryx. You name it, they're on these animal preserves, but they're there where a person will spend $10,000 to $20,000, put on a camouflage outfit, get a high-powered rifle, go out in a truck with a bunch of other people, find an animal, shoot them, they take them to the taxidermist, and then the person's got the animal's head somewhere on a wall. It just disgusts me. But the good news is there was a whole series of bankruptcies. Interest rates were high, and as a result, people couldn't afford to pay for these. So at one time, I had 500 chickens, because there was a place that went, and these were not chickens for eating, these were beautiful chickens, and exotic chickens. I had miniature horses, cute as a button, and they have very short lives because they're bred like it. And then I had miniature potbelly pigs, smart animal. I mean, one every day would get up, slept right beside me, and he'd get up, and or she would get up, and we'd run around the track, and she'd run right beside me. And then I got, one day I got 54 buffalo. I had 17 Scottish Highlander cattle, the ones that have the long hair clear down, ox, adix, oryx. I had over 250 hoof stock, and I had 200 acres, so I had large pens for them where they could run and be free. So when you're around these creatures this long, and deer, and little 8X deer, but the most interesting ones were the primates. I received a family of 6 primates, ringtail lemurs. And it was interesting because a lemur lives about more or less 16 years, and they can be very friendly. And these happen to be pretty friendly, but they were not healthy. They were, again, people feed dogs and cats and birds standard food out of a box or can. I never do that. I make real fresh organic foods. In fact, I had a 5-acre garden planting about 60 different types of vegetables and herbs just for the animals, giving them bitters which help them. And then I give them supplements and drinks. I got very friendly with them. I'd let them out of their enclosure, and they'd run around and jump in the trees, but then late in the afternoon, they go right back in. And I'd go in there and give them treats. When you share love, you're sharing a vital life force, and you're harmonizing with the animal's unconditional love. And it's just one of the great things in life. And when I had to find a home for some of these animals, you go through that sad week of knowing, spend time with them because you're not going to see them again. And it's, you don't go through separation anxiety, but you go through a period of, wow, am I blessed to have those creatures in my life, just like a friend or a family member? Never take them for granted, because one day they're not going to be there. Then you think, wow, if only I spent more time. 2 years ago, I managed to find homes for the final 12 animals that I had here, like a wallaby, emu, and 4 jennies, which are female donkeys, which are great because they protect all the other animals from coyotes and bobcats, predators. And I had, I had the zebu cows. I also had alpaca, llamas. My llamas never spit. They come over and give you kisses. So that's what I've done since 1971. It's going on almost 53 years, and it's about 7,000 animals that I've rescued or took care of and found loving homes for life. 2 capuchin monkeys, Sweetie and Raisin. And 100% all the time love in ways that, you can't appreciate unless you're there to see it. Always coming over and grooming in the hair and searching for treats. It's just nice. I've got swans, and peacocks, and dogs and cats. And the dogs and cats were feral. Now they're not. They just live together and they have a great time together. So that's my experience. But that's what it means when you really care for animals. You know what to do. I wrote a book on it, Natural Pet Care. I did a special played on PBS stations, the same name.
Well, it's a lot of work, but she's just worth it. It's like a child almost. You wouldn't deny a child anything. And she's such a good friend and she's such a good companion.
Birds offer a different kind of companionship because they speak to me. So Luann, I love you.
These ferrets really make me feel better when I feel stressed out.
So I'm used to having animals live long lives, be healthy and happy, just like with humans. I also have a place in Texas, and I have animals that we've rescued there. Ducks, swans, guinea hens. In fact, we go to the farmer's market once a month, and they bring in the guinea hens to sell for meat, and we buy them up. They're about $9 each. And then we put them up the villa, and they can run around and live long lives. Jennies, we have 4 huge jennies, big ones, like a draft horse, they're so big. And peacocks down there. And at times come dogs. We've found homes for about 15 dogs, other animals. And that's 56 acres. So I got 2 places. And I spend a month twice a year down there, and the rest of the time I spend here. So that's just a little background. Thank you very much for watching.